The human's back touched the cold metal wall, and he knew there was nowhere left to move. The corridor was narrow, built for tall and broad warriors, not for someone like him. The lights above flickered with a dull red glow, reflecting off polished armor and sharp weapons. 3 figures stood in front of him, blocking every path forward. They were tall, strong, and unmistakably dangerous. They were sisters, not by blood alone, but by oath, battle, and tradition. Their skin was a deep gray blue, marked with ritual scars that told stories of war and survival. Their eyes glowed faintly gold, sharp and focused. Each of them carried a blade that looked heavy enough to cut a human in half with one swing. The middle sister stepped forward. Her voice was calm, but it carried weight, like stone grinding against stone. "You'll stay with us forever, human." The words were not shouted. They did not need to be. The human did not raise his hands. He did not scream or beg. His heart was racing, but his face stayed still. Years of military training had taught him one thing above all else. Panic was more deadly than any weapon. His name was Elias Ward, envoy of the United Terran Coalition. He had come to this world to speak, not to fight. That plan had failed. This planet, Carvel, was ruled by warrior clans. Every city was a fortress. Every citizen was trained to fight from childhood. Strength was law. Weakness was shame. Humans were considered fragile here. Elias had known the risks when he volunteered. He was not the strongest soldier. He was not the fastest, but he was good with words, and better with staying calm when things went wrong. Things had gone very wrong. The negotiation hall was now burning behind them. Smoke filled the air, and distant alarms echoed through the stone halls. Something had sparked a fight between clans, and the human delegation had been caught in the middle. The other humans had escaped. Elias had not. The sister on the left circled him slowly, her boots heavy against the floor. She studied him like a hunter studies prey that behaves strangely. "You're not shaking," she said. "Most humans shake." "I'm still breathing," Elias replied. His voice was steady, though his throat was dry. "That seems like a good place to start." The sister on the right snorted softly. "He jokes, even now. Or he hides fear well," the middle sister said. She leaned closer, her eyes level with his. "What do you call that, human? Courage or foolishness?"
"Depends who survives," Elias said.
For a moment, the corridor was silent, except for the distant sound of explosions. The middle sister straightened. "My name is Vara, this is Kethra, and this is Sira." She pointed briefly to each sister. "We are the Iron Veil. You crossed into our territory during a blood dispute." "I didn't know," Elias said. "I was following the route your council approved." "The council is weak," Kethra said. "Paper warriors." Sira tilted her head. Still, he did not run when the fighting started. He could have. "I was trying to help an injured guard," Elias said simply. That caught their attention. Vara's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "He was bleeding," Elias said. "Seemed important. On Carvel, warriors were taught that the wounded either stood back up or died with honor. Helping the weak was not a common value."
"Strange species," Sira muttered.
Vara raised a hand, and her sisters fell silent. She looked at Elias for a long moment, as if weighing him. "By our law," Vara said, "you should be killed. You trespassed. You witnessed clan conflict. You are a liability." Elias nodded once. "That makes sense." "And yet," Vara continued, "I do not feel like killing you." Kethra frowned. "Sister, he looks at us like equals," Vara said. "Not monsters, not gods, just people." "That is dangerous," Kethra said. "Yes," Vara agreed, "which is why I want to keep him." Elias raised an eyebrow slightly. "That's comforting, I think." Sira stepped forward now, close enough that Elias could feel the heat from her armor. "You will come with us. You will not leave our sight." "You will learn our ways? And if I refuse?" Elias asked. Sira smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Then you will die quickly." That is mercy. Elias took a slow breath. He had faced enemy fire, orbital strikes, and political leaders who smiled while planning genocide. This was different, but the choice was the same. Survive now, figure out the rest later. "All right," he said. "I'll come." Kethra blinked. "That's it? No argument? You're armed." "I'm not," Elias said. "Seems like a short debate." For the first time, Sira laughed. It was a harsh sound, but not cruel. They moved quickly through hidden passages, away from the burning halls. Elias followed, memorizing turns without realizing it. Old habit. Always know how to leave, even when you are told you cannot. They reached a smaller chamber carved into the rock. Weapons lined the walls. Trophies hung from hooks, bones, armor pieces, banners taken from defeated enemies. "This is our holding chamber," Vara said. "You will stay here." "Sal has a nicer sound," Elias said. Kethra frowned again. "You mock us." "No," Elias replied. "I cope." Vara considered that, then nodded once. "You may rest. Do not attempt escape." "I won't," Elias said honestly. That surprised even him. The sisters left, the heavy door sealing shut behind them. The room was quiet. Elias sat down against the wall and finally let his shoulders relax. He was alive, for now. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt strange on Carvel. Eventually, the door opened again. Vara entered alone, without her blade. She sat across from him, her posture relaxed but alert. "Why did you volunteer to come here?" she asked. Elias thought for a moment. "Because if humans and your people fight, millions will die, and because someone had to try talking first." "You believe words can stop war. I believe words can delay it," Elias said. "Sometimes that's enough." Vara studied his face. "You are not a warrior." "No," Elias agreed. "But I've lived through wars started by warriors." That answer stayed with her. Outside the chamber, alarms slowly faded. The fighting was ending. Something had changed. Not just in the city, but in the sisters. They had cornered a human against a wall, expecting fear. Instead, they found something unfamiliar. And none of them knew yet what it would cost them. The door opened before the light cycle changed, which told Elias that time on Carvel was not measured the way humans like to measure it. He stood up slowly when he heard the heavy steps outside. 3 figures entered the chamber, armor on, weapons secured but visible. Vare walked in front, calm as always. Kethra's eyes scanned the room like she expected an ambush. Sira looked curious, her head tilted slightly, as if Elias were a puzzle she had not solved yet. "You will come with us," Vara said. "You will not speak unless spoken to." "You will observe. Die usually my job anyway," Elias replied. Kethra's hand twitched near her weapon. "Watch your tongue, human." Elias nodded. "Understood." They led him out of the chamber and into the open fortress grounds. The city was carved directly into black stone cliffs. Platforms connected towers, like ribs, on a massive skeleton. Below, deep chasms vanished into darkness. Above, the sky burned a pale orange, with thick clouds moving fast like restless beasts. Warriors trained everywhere. Some fought with blades. Others lifted massive weights. Some practiced hand-to-hand combat with movements that looked both violent and precise. Many stopped when they saw Elias. A human. Whispers followed him as he walked. Is that prey? Why does he walk free?
He looks weak. Elias kept his eyes forward, and his posture relaxed.
He had learned long ago that looking afraid made things worse. They stopped near a training ring, surrounded by stone pillars. 2 warriors were fighting inside, moving with deadly speed. One slipped, just for a moment, and the other struck her down hard. The fallen warrior did not get back up. No one helped her. Elias clenched his jaw. She's injured, he said before he could stop himself. Kethra turned sharply. This does not concern you. She could die, Elias said. That is the risk of weakness, Kethra replied. Vara raised a hand. Enough! She stepped closer to the ring, studying the fallen warrior. After a moment, she signaled another warrior. The injured one was dragged away, still breathing. The surrounding warriors looked surprised. Sira glanced at Elias. You changed nothing, she said quietly. Elias met her eyes. She's alive. That's something. Sira did not answer. They continued walking. Elias noticed that Vara always walked slightly ahead, but she never left him behind. Kethra stayed to his right, a clear warning. Sira stayed to his left, watching him more than the surroundings. You said you were not a warrior, Sira said as they moved. But you have seen battle. Yes. And you survived. Most days. Sira nodded slowly. Interesting. They entered a large hall where clan leaders gathered. The room was loud, full of sharp voices and heavy footsteps. When Elias entered, the noise dropped slightly. A human in the heart of a warrior council. One of the elders stood, her armor older but marked with many victories. Why is there a human here? She demanded. Have you gone mad, Iron Veil? Vara met her gaze without hesitation. He is under our protection, murmurs spread. Protection? Another voice snapped. From what? Us. From our own short-sightedness, Vara said. The elder's eyes moved to Elias. Speak, human. Why should you live? Elias felt every eye on him. He could almost hear his old instructors reminding him, say less. Mean more! I don't know if I should live, he said honestly. But I know if I die here, my people will not forget it, and they will not understand it. Is that a threat? The elder asked. No, Elias said. It's a warning. Humans remember slights. We are very good at that. Some warriors laughed. Others looked uneasy. The elder studied him for a long moment, then sat back down. He is strange, she said. Let him remain, for now. But he is watched. Of course, Vara said. The council moved on. Elias exhaled slowly. They led him away again, deeper into the fortress, toward a training yard, less crowded than the others. You spoke boldly, Kethra said. Too boldly. I spoke honestly, Elias replied. There's a difference, Sira smiled faintly. He does not know when to fear. He knows, Vara said. He chooses not to show it. They stopped near a weapons rack. Vara picked up a short training blade and tossed it toward Elias. He caught it out of reflex. The sisters froze. You said you were unarmed, Kethra said slowly.
I was, Elias replied.
Catching isn't attacking. Vara watched him closely. Show us? Show you what? How you fight. Elias hesitated. I don't think you'll like it. Sira stepped forward. Try. A warrior entered the yard larger than Elias by a full head and twice as broad. He held a training blade that still looked deadly. First strike, the warrior said. Elias took a stance that made several onlookers scoff. It looked loose, unprepared. The warrior attacked fast and hard. Elias moved. He didn't block the blade. He stepped inside the swing, grabbed the warrior's arm, twisted, and kicked behind the knee. The warrior hit the ground hard, blade flying. The yard went silent. Elias stepped back immediately, hands raised. Training only. The warrior stared up at him, shocked more than angry. That was not strength, Kethra said slowly. No, Elias agreed. It was timing. Vara nodded again. The second match was harder. Elias took a hit to the shoulder that made his arm burn. He used the pain to focus, to stay sharp. He ended the fight on the ground again, breathing hard. By the third match, he was exhausted. By the fourth, he lost. The warrior pinned him, blade at his throat. "Yield!" the warrior growled. "I yield," Elias said immediately. The blade pulled away. Sira offered him a hand. Elias took it, surprised. "You bleed," she said, noticing the cut on his shoulder. "I'll live," Elias said. She looked almost disappointed by that. They led him to a rest area. A medic approached, hesitant, then treated his wound quickly.
"You fought with honor," Vara said, "but you are not built for this world."
"I know," Elias replied. "That doesn't mean I don't belong anywhere." Vara studied him carefully. "You believe belonging is chosen?" "Yes." She nodded slowly.
"Our people believe belonging is proven. Maybe it can be both," Elias said. That idea lingered between them.
Later, as the light faded and the fortress grew quieter, Elias was returned to the chamber. But it did not feel like a cell anymore. He sat, thinking about the training yard, the council, the injured warrior. He was still a captive. But something had shifted. Outside, Sira stood watch. Kethra sharpened her blade nearby. Vara watched the sky from a high balcony. 3 warrior sisters, raised to conquer and endure. And one human, small and fragile by their standards, yet standing where none of his kind had stood before, not as prey, not as a guest, but as a question they could not yet answer. The attack came during the quiet cycle, when the fortress lights dimmed and most warriors rested. Elias was awake. He often was. The stone chamber felt less like a prison now. But sleep still came lightly. He sat on the edge of the resting platform, listening to the distant sounds of metal, wind, and low voices echoing through the massive structure. Then he heard something else. Not normal movement. Running, shouting, an alarm horn, low and deep, vibrating through the stone like a warning growl. Elias stood up at once. The door slid open almost immediately. Sira appeared, her armor half secured, blade already in her hand. "Stay inside," she ordered.
"What's happening?" Elias asked. "Bloodfang clan," she said.
"They cross borders at night." Before Elias could respond, a shockwave rolled through the corridor. The wall shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. That was close. Sira hesitated for half a second, then looked at him. "Do not move," she repeated, more firmly this time. She turned and ran. The door began to close. Elias made a decision. He slipped through before it sealed. Sira spun around, eyes wide. "Human! Are you trying to die?" "No," Elias said. "I'm trying not to be useless." Another explosion rocked the fortress. Somewhere, far above, something heavy collapsed. Sira swore in her language and grabbed his arm.
"If you slow me down, I won't." Elias said, "Tell me where to go." She studied his face, searching for fear.
She found determination instead. "Stay behind me," she said. Always. They ran. The corridors were chaos now. Warriors rushed past, some wounded, some shouting orders. Red emergency lights painted everything in harsh shadows. The sound of fighting grew louder with every turn. They reached an outer defense platform overlooking one of the lower gates. The Bloodfang clan was already inside. They were larger than the Iron Veil warriors, their armor rougher, their movements more brutal. They did not fight with discipline. They fought with rage. Kethra was there, holding the line with 3 other warriors. Her blade moved fast, precise, deadly. Even so, she was being pushed back. Bara stood on a raised platform, shouting commands, directing squads, her voice cutting through the noise. A Bloodfang warrior broke through the line and rushed toward Vara. Elias saw it before anyone else. "Vara!" he shouted. She turned, just as the attacker lunged.
Elias moved without thinking.
He grabbed a fallen shield, ran forward, and slammed it into the warrior's legs. The impact threw the attacker off balance. Bara finished the fight in one clean strike. Silence followed for a heartbeat. Then the fighting resumed. Vare looked at Elias, shock clear on her face. "You were told to stay back." "So were they," Elias said, pointing at the enemy. Sira appeared beside him, breathing hard. "He saved you." Vara did not answer right away. She looked at Elias, then at the battlefield. "Stay close," she said finally. The Bloodfang attack was not random. Elias noticed it quickly. They were pushing toward key points, power nodes, weapon stores, command centers. "They're not raiding," Elias said to Vara as they moved between positions. "They're trying to take the fortress." "We know," Vara replied. "No," Elias said. "You know they're attacking." "You don't see how." She glanced at him. "Speak. They're using pressure, not precision," Elias said. "They don't care about losses. They expect you to fight them head-on." "That is how wars are fought," Kethra said, joining them. "That's how your wars are fought," Elias replied. "Not ours." Another explosion cut him off. The lower gate buckled but held.
For how long? Elias asked. Vera did not answer.
Elias pointed toward a narrow side corridor. "That path leads to the supply tunnels, right?"
Yes, Sira said.
"Why? They'll break the gate to distract you," Elias said. "Then send a smaller group through the tunnels to hit you from behind." Kethra frowned. "You guess." "I predict," Elias said. "There's a difference?" Vara stared at the corridor, then gave a sharp command. "2 squads, now." They moved just in time. Minutes later, Bloodfang warriors poured out of the tunnel, and were met by prepared defenders instead of empty halls. The ambush failed. The battle shifted. The Iron Veil pushed back, slowly, painfully, but with growing confidence. Elias stayed with Vara, relaying observations, pointing out patterns, calling warnings. He was not fighting like a warrior. He was fighting like a human. A Bloodfang leader finally entered the field, massive and scarred, wielding a weapon that hummed with energy. He cut through defenders with brutal force. Vare engaged him. The clash was violent. Sparks flew. The leader was stronger. Every blow pushed Vara back. Elias looked around desperately. He saw a broken power conduit, leaking energy near the platform edge. "Vara!" he shouted. "Drive him left!" She didn't ask why. She trusted him. She shifted her stance, changed her attacks. The Bloodfang leader followed, focused on crushing her. Elias grabbed a fallen spear, ran forward, and jammed it into the exposed conduit. Energy surged. The leader stepped into it. The shock threw him backward. Armor smoking, weapon clattering away. He did not get up. The Bloodfang warriors hesitated. That was enough. The Iron Veil surged forward with a roar. The remaining attackers fled or fell. The fortress stood. Silence slowly returned, broken only by the sounds of the wounded being treated and the dead being carried away. Elias sank to the ground, exhausted, his hands shaking now that the danger had passed. Sira sat beside him. "You should be dead," she said quietly. "I get that a lot," Elias replied. Kethra approached, blood on her armor, eyes intense. "You broke every rule." "Yes," Elias said. "But we're alive." She stared at him for a long moment, then gave a single, sharp nod. Vara stood before him, her expression unreadable.
You could have escaped, she said, during the chaos. Yes, Elias replied.
Why didn't you? Elias looked around at the fortress, at the wounded warriors, at the sisters standing in front of him. Because running would have been easy, he said. Staying meant something. Vara let out a slow breath. Our law says you are still a captive, she said. Our tradition says outsiders cannot earn standing.
And what do you say? Elias asked.
She met his gaze. I say traditions exist to protect people, not to blind them. She turned to the gathered warriors. This human fought beside us. He warned us. He saved lives. He did not flee. Murmurs spread through the crowd. From this moment, Vara continued, Elias Ward is not prey. He is not property. He is under Iron Veil protection as a bound ally.
That was not full acceptance, but it was more than anyone expected.
Later, as repairs began and the fortress settled, Elias sat on a balcony overlooking the dark plains beyond the city. Sierra joined him.
You changed things, she said. I didn't mean to, Elias replied.
I just reacted. She considered that. That is how change begins. Far away, fires burned where the Bloodfang had retreated. The galaxy was still dangerous. War was still coming. But on this night, on this world, a human had stood with warrior sisters and helped them survive. And that was something none of them would ever forget. The fortress did not celebrate victory. On Carvel, survival was expected, not praised. Still, something was different after the Bloodfang attack. The halls felt quieter, heavier, as if the stone itself was thinking. Warriors moved with less noise. Conversation stopped when Elias passed, then started again in low voices. Not hostile. Not welcoming. Uncertain. Elias felt it in every glance. He stood on a high walkway overlooking the inner training grounds. Repairs were underway. Broken stone was being cleared. Damaged armor stacked in piles. The air smelled of metal, smoke, and something bitter that clung to the throat. Vara joined him, hands behind her back. You should be resting, she said. So should you, Elias replied. She gave a short, tired smile. Leaders rest last. They watched in silence for a moment. You caused division, Vara said finally.
Elias nodded. I figured. Some say you saved us, she continued.
Others say you endangered us by existing. That also sounds familiar, Elias said. Vara looked at him.
You do not seem bothered? I am, Elias said honestly, but fear doesn't help me think.
She studied him closely. You speak often of choice, of staying because it matters.
Yes. Our culture does not understand that, Vara said.
Warriors are bound by birth, by clan, by strength. And if strength fails? Elias asked. Vara did not answer right away. Below them, a young warrior struggled during training. Her movements slow and unbalanced. Her opponent knocked her down hard. She did not rise. This time, another warrior moved to help her up. It caused murmurs. That did not happen before you, Vara said quietly.
I didn't tell anyone to do that, Elias replied. No, Vara agreed.
You showed them they could. The words hung between them. A horn sounded in the distance. Not an alarm. A summons.
The council calls, Vara said. They will speak of you.
That sounds ominous, Elias said. It is, Vara replied. Come. The council chamber was full when they arrived. Elders sat in a wide circle, armor polished, expressions sharp. Kethra and Sira stood behind Vara, tense but silent. Elias stood alone in the center. "This human has interfered too much," one elder said immediately. "Our ways are not his to change. He saved the fortress," another countered. "He broke sacred boundaries. He strengthened us. He weakened tradition." The arguments flew back and forth like thrown blades. Elias waited. Finally, the eldest among them raised her staff, silencing the room. "Human," she said, "do you understand why you're dangerous?" Elias considered the question carefully. "Because I don't fit where I'm supposed to." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "I am weak by your standards," Elias said. "Yet I survived. I do not follow your rules, yet I helped protect your people. That makes others question rules they have never questioned before." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "That is poison," one elder said. "Or medicine," Elias replied.
"Depends on the sickness." Kethra stiffened behind him, but Elias kept his voice calm. The elder leaned forward.
"And what sickness do you believe we have?" Elias met her gaze. "You confuse strength with worth, and when strength fails, you discard what remains." Silence fell. "That was dangerous ground. You insult us," the elder said coldly. "I respect you enough to be honest," Elias replied. "If you want flattery, you don't need a human." "You already have warriors." Vara spoke then. "Enough!" "He has spoken his truth. Now hear mine."
All eyes turned to her. "Our fortress stood because we adapted," Vara said.
"Not because we followed tradition perfectly. The Bloodfang nearly destroyed us because they fight, as we always have, head-on. Predictable."
She gestured toward Elias. "This human fights differently."
"Thinks differently. That is not weakness."
An elder slammed her staff.
"And what do you propose? That we bend our culture around a fragile outsider?"
"No," Vara said.
"I propose we learn." The word hit the chamber like a shockwave. "Learning implies we are lacking," an elder snapped.
"It implies we are alive," Vara replied. The eldest elder raised her staff again.
"Enough!"
She turned to Elias. "Human, you have challenged us. You have disrupted us."
You have also aided us. Therefore, you will face a trial."
Elias exhaled slowly. "I was wondering when that would happen." "A trial of worth," the elder continued. "Not of strength, of resolve."
Kethra's eyes widened. Sira tensed.
"What does that mean?" Elias asked. "You will be given a choice," the elder said.
"One that reveals who you truly are." The trial took place at dawn. Elias stood at the edge of the outer cliffs where the city met open sky. Below was a sheer drop into mist and darkness. Wind tore at his clothes. Vara stood beside him. Kethra and Sira stood a short distance away, silent.
You can still refuse.
Vara said quietly. "No one would blame you."
Yes, they would, Elias said.
"Just not out loud." She nodded.
"Hey!" The elder's voice echoed across the platform.
"Human Elias Ward, you are bound to no clan."
"You owe us nothing. Therefore, we offer you freedom." A transport ship waited nearby, small but functional, human design. "You may leave Carvel," the elder continued. "Return to your people. Live." Elias felt a tightening in his chest. "Or," the elder said, "you may stay. But if you stay, you give up protection. You will not be a captive.
You will not be a guest. You will be alone.
Kethra's fists clenched. If you fail, the elder added, we will not save you. Elias understood immediately. Freedom with safety, or belonging without guarantees. The easy choice was obvious. The meaningful one was not. Vara did not look at him. She faced the horizon, jaw tight.
Elias thought of Earth.
Of familiar skies, of people who spoke his language and understood his weakness. He also thought of the fortress, of the wounded warrior who had been helped up, of Sira's surprised smile, of Kethra's single nod of respect.
I have a question, Elias said. The elder nodded.
Speak. If I leave, Elias said, what happens to the ideas I brought? They will fade, the elder replied, as all disruptions do. Elias looked at Vara, then at the warriors gathered on the platforms above, watching in silence. He took a slow breath. I'll stay, he said. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the crowd.
Kethra stepped forward. That is foolish.
Yes, Elias said. But it's my kind of foolish. The elder studied him.
Very well. From this moment, you stand alone.
No iron veil protection. No council shield. Vara turned to him then, eyes burning. You didn't have to. I know, Elias said softly.
That's why it matters. The elder raised her staff. The trial begins now. It did not involve combat.
That surprised many. Instead, Elias was sent into the lower city, alone. No weapon, no escort, no authority. The lower levels were dangerous even for warriors. Gangs formed around strength. Resources were scarce. Disputes ended violently. Elias walked. He listened. He spoke when spoken to. He helped where he could, binding wounds, settling arguments with words instead of fists, offering strategies instead of challenges. He was beaten once. He got back up. He was threatened twice. He did not run. By nightfall, whispers followed him. By the second day, people began to step in when he was cornered. By the third, warriors watched from the shadows, not intervening, just observing. On the fourth day, a fight broke out over water rights. Blades were drawn. Elias stepped between them. Kill me if you want, he said, but you'll still be thirsty. The fight stopped when Elias returned to the upper fortress, exhausted, bruised, and limping. The elders were waiting.
So,
the eldest said.
You survived. Barely, Elias replied. She nodded.
Then you have passed. Vara released a breath she had been holding for days. Kethra stepped forward.
You are still weak, she said. Yes, Elias agreed.
But you are stubborn, she continued. Very. Sira smiled openly now, and that may be stronger. The elder struck her staff once against the stone. From this day, she declared, Elias Ward is bound to Carvel by choice, not chain. His presence is permitted. His voice may be heard. Not acceptance, but recognition. As the council dispersed, Vara stood before Elias. You could have died, she said quietly.
So could you,
Elias replied. She studied him for a long moment, then placed her fist against her chest in a warrior's salute. Elias returned it, clumsily, but sincerely. The wind howled across the cliffs. The galaxy beyond Carvel remained dangerous, but something had shifted again, not because a human was strong, but because he chose to stay. Elias walked through the corridors of the fortress, feeling less like a prisoner and more like someone who belonged, though he still had much to prove. The Iron Veil sisters walked beside him, their presence heavy but not oppressive. Vara kept her eyes on the horizon, thoughtful as ever. Kethra's gaze was sharp, always measuring, always calculating. Sira's expression was softer, her curiosity still flickering in the corners of her golden eyes. The sun was rising over the stone cliffs of Carvel, painting the city in a warm, reddish light. Smoke from the previous attacks lingered faintly in the air, giving the city an ethereal glow. Elias had seen many battlefields, but none like this. Alive, breathing, dangerous, and beautiful, all at once.
Your kind thrives on choice, Vara said quietly as they walked.
Yet you risk everything willingly.
Why?
Elias glanced at her.
Because survival without purpose is empty. Fighting without meaning is just noise.
Vare considered this.
Perhaps our people have been wrong about strength. Maybe strength is more than muscle,
Elias said.
Maybe it's about knowing when to act, when to think, and when to stand your ground even if you're smaller, weaker, or unarmed.
The sisters exchanged glances. Kethra's lips pressed into a thin line, but there was respect there. Sira tilted her head slightly, almost as if she were studying him for secrets hidden in plain sight. They reached the central platform where the Iron Veil warriors trained. The younger warriors stopped mid-motion, glancing at Elias, as if seeing him for the first time. Some whispered, others watched silently. He caught glimpses of curiosity, surprise, and even admiration. The whisperers reminded him of his own people back home. Humans who doubted themselves yet found courage in others. Vara stepped forward.
Your trial is complete. You have chosen to stay, knowing full well the dangers and expectations.
That is what earns respect here. Elias nodded. I don't seek respect. I want understanding. Understanding is earned in action, Kethra said. And you've shown more than most warriors ever do. Sira's voice was quiet but firm. You have changed something here, human. Not by strength, but by showing us there is another way.
Elias let the words settle. He had not come to Carvel to teach, to lead, or to change anyone.
He had come to negotiate, to survive, and perhaps to prevent unnecessary bloodshed. Yet here he was, having done more than he could have imagined. The sisters led him to the training arena, where warriors now practiced with renewed purpose. Each movement, each strike seemed sharper, more precise. Some mimicked the human style, less rigid, more fluid, using wit and timing rather than brute force. Elias felt a quiet pride. He had not needed to fight every battle himself. He had simply shown another path. Vara placed a hand on his shoulder. There is one more thing. Elias looked at her.
What's that? You are bound here by choice, she said. But that is not enough.
To truly belong, you must be accepted by all. Your people, ours, and yourself. He swallowed. How do I do that? By standing beside us, Kethra said. Not as a guest, not as a student, but as an equal. Sira stepped closer, and by proving that your human ways can complement ours. The day passed with drills and training. Elias moved among warriors, offering guidance, lending hands where needed, teaching small strategies that required brains more than brawn. He never took a weapon for himself unless necessary, preferring observation and direction. Each time he acted, he felt the weight of the sisters' eyes, sometimes approving, sometimes skeptical. By evening, he was exhausted. Blisters on his hands, scratches on his arms, and soreness in muscles he did not even know existed reminded him that Carvel was not an easy world. But he had endured. And he had not endured alone. The sisters gathered him on a balcony overlooking the plains. Below, the city stretched far into the distance, glowing faintly in the twilight. You stayed, Vara said softly. Even when you could have left.
Even when no one would have blamed you. I stayed because I chose to, Elias replied.
Because running doesn't solve anything. Because someone has to do the hard thing. Sira's lips curved into a small smile. You think that is easy? No, he said.
That's why it matters?
Kethra nodded slowly. Your choice has shaken us. Not just your presence, but your perspective. Perhaps that is the true strength of your species. Vara took a deep breath. There is a saying in our culture, to belong is to fight, not for survival, but for understanding. Today you belong. Elias felt a mixture of relief, pride, and a strange humility. He had survived, yes. He had influenced warriors, yes. But more importantly, he had chosen a path that aligned with his values, and they had acknowledged it. That night the fortress celebrated quietly, not with feasts or songs, but with recognition of what had changed. Warriors spoke more freely. Some sought him out to ask questions, to observe, to learn. Not all agreed with him, but all had to acknowledge his courage and his mind. Vara, Kethra, and Sira remained at his side. Each had their own way of showing respect. Vara's was quiet but constant. Kethra's was measured but sincere. Sira's was open and curious. Together, they formed a balance that Elias could rely on. Days turned into weeks. Elias trained with the sisters and their warriors, teaching humans' unique approach to strategy and survival. He learned Carvel ways in return. The sisters found themselves adapting, blending human reasoning with their traditional methods. Conflicts that once would have ended in death were now approached with more thought, more caution, more efficiency. Elias realized something profound. Humanity's greatest strength was not muscle, weapons, or even courage. It was the ability to adapt, to think, to choose. And now, that strength was reshaping an entire clan of alien warriors. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Carvel, Elias sat on the highest balcony, the sisters around him. The wind whispered through the stone towers, carrying faint scents of smoke, metal, and distant forests.
You've changed our ways,
Vara said.
and we've changed because of you. I didn't do it alone,
Elias replied.
You let me help.
That's what matters. Sira chuckled softly. You've earned your place, human. Not by force, not by tradition, but by choice. Yes, Kethra said, her voice quieter than usual.
And by staying when no one expected you to.
Elias looked at each of them. Then it seems we belong to each other now. Vara smiled faintly, something rare and genuine. Perhaps. Belonging is not just about choice or survival. It's about trust. And you have earned ours. The wind rose again, and Elias felt it sweep through him like a quiet promise. Carvel was still dangerous, the galaxy still vast and uncertain. But here, with these warrior sisters, he had found a place where he mattered, where his choices counted, where humanity had left its mark. Not through brute strength, but through heart, mind, and courage. He stood with them on the balcony, looking toward the horizon. A human, small and fragile in comparison to these fierce warriors, yet equal in ways that mattered most. The warrior sisters who had cornered him once, claiming he would stay forever, had unknowingly offered him something more profound than captivity. They had offered him a place to belong. And he chose to stay, not because he was forced, not because he was trapped, but because he wanted to. That night the stars over Carvel shone brighter than ever, as if acknowledging that across the galaxy humans could change worlds, not by conquering them, but by standing firm, choosing wisely, and inspiring those around them. The fortress settled, warriors rested, and Elias Ward, the human, finally understood what it meant to be a part of something greater than himself. Not a prisoner, not a guest, not an outsider, but a member of the Iron Veil, bound not by chain or blood, but by choice, respect, and shared purpose. And in that quiet, glowing world on the edge of the galaxy, humanity had left its mark.